Welcome back to Chapter by Chapter Classics, the short-form classic literature podcast where each episode walks you through a few chapters of a great book. We're still working with both the 1818 and 1831 editions of Frankenstein, so no matter which one you're reading, you're in the right place. Previously in Frankenstein, the creature demanded a female companion. Victor began a second creation, then tore his new work apart, provoking a deadly threat and pushing the story into a darker cycle of revenge. Today, we're covering chapters 21 and 22, where Victor is arrested for murder, discovers that the victim is his friend Henry Clerval, and then returns to Geneva with his father after surviving another collapse of body and mind. The events of these chapters line up closely across both editions, with the 1831 version sometimes adding extra introspective or destiny-focused language. We'll keep the focus on the shared plot while mentioning those tonal tweaks where they show up.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So, if the first part of Frankenstein was all about Victor's reckless creation and then his desperate flight from it, what we're diving into today, chapters 21 and 22, is where everything changes.
It's where the consequences just crash down on him, absolutely inescapable.
Exactly. This is a crucial pivot point. We're going to chart Victor's arrest, a really horrific discovery he makes, and of course, the lead up to his doomed marriage.
Right. And you see him shift from being this active creator, always running, to becoming a passive victim. This is where he finally pays the full price for his scientific isolation. His mind and his body just completely shatter.
So for anyone tracking the different versions, we're mainly following the 1831 chapter numbers, but this is also chapters 4 and 5 of Volume 3 in that original 1818 edition.
It all covers the same devastating series of events.
Okay, so let's jump right in. This part of the book just hits the ground running. Victor has just dumped the remains of the female creature. He's out at sea, and he finally lands on a shore in Ireland.
And he's met with immediate hostility. He's confronted, taken before the local magistrate, Mr. Clerval, and basically charged with murder on the spot.
Yeah, and what's so striking is his initial reaction. He tries to pull himself together thinking, I'm innocent of this crime. I can prove it.
He's completely oblivious, isn't he? He can't see that he's the moral cause of everything, even if he didn't physically do it.
And then the evidence starts to mount. A fisherman, Daniel Nugent, gives his testimony.
Right. He says they found a body the night before. A young man, handsome, about 25.
And then comes the detail that changes everything. The cause of death.
Strangulation. And the text gives us that chilling, specific detail, the black mark of fingers on his neck.
Which is the creature's signature. It immediately connects this murder all the way back to little William.
And Victor hears this, and you can just see him start to fall apart. Even before he knows who the victim is, his body is betraying his guilt. He's trembling. A mist comes over his eyes.
The magistrate, Clerval, he's sharp. He sees this extreme agitation.
He does. And instead of just relying on the testimony about the boat Nugent seeing a boat like Victor's near the shore, he makes a calculated move.
He decides Victor has to see the body for himself.
It's a psychological test, and it works.
It's just the cruelest possible reveal. He's taken into the room, he looks down, and the body on the table is his best friend, Henry Clerval.
It's brutal. The one person who was his moral anchor, the man who represented pure goodness and affection in his life, murdered.
And the irony is just excruciating.
Yeah.
Clerval was the one always trying to pull Victor back to beauty, to nature, to human connection.
And to see him lying there, strangled by the very thing that represents Victor's complete rejection of all that, it's the final blow. His defenses just crumble.
And it's not just grief. It is a complete and total collapse.
Yeah, he says something to the magistrate, something that tells you everything about his state of mind. He asks, can death be any evil to me?
He sees it as a relief, a welcome escape.
Exactly. Death isn't a punishment anymore. It's the only mercy he can imagine. And from there, the narrative just dives straight into his breakdown.
It's a long one. He's sick for months. I think the text says 5 months.
And it describes his state as a torpor, which is just this deadened state, but it's punctuated by these awful, screaming paroxysms of anguish and despair.
He's a danger to himself.
A huge danger. He needs, and I'm quoting here, unceasing attendance and vigilance to stop him from committing some dreadful act of violence.
Which we understand to mean suicide.
Without a doubt. And it's in this feverish, broken state that he finally confesses.
Right. He says it out loud to his father, who has arrived by this point. He says, William, Justine, and Henry, They all died by my hands.
And that's it, isn't it? The core truth. He finally accepts full moral responsibility.
But at the same time, he also starts to see himself as a pawn of fate.
Yes, especially in the 1831 edition. That feeling of predestination gets much stronger. He's not just a man who made a terrible mistake. He's a doomed figure in a Greek tragedy.
He says something like, "Some destiny of the most horrible kind hangs over me, and I must live to fulfill it."
And that fatalism is so important. It lets him off the hook, in a way. If it's all destiny, then his own choices, like his refusal to tell anyone the truth, they don't seem as significant. It's a justification for his continued secrecy.
So he's confessed, he's convinced of his own guilt, but the legal system clears him. How does he actually walk free?
Well, it's a simple alibi, really.
Yeah.
Technicality. Witnesses from the Orkney Islands, where he destroyed the female creature, confirmed he was there at the time the body was found.
So he couldn't have been in two places at once.
Exactly. Daniel Nugent might have seen his boat, but the timing just doesn't work for him to have been the one to physically leave the body on that shore. So legally, he's innocent.
Legally innocent, but psychologically destroyed. His father is there, though, and they begin that long, slow journey back to Geneva.
And that journey is just filled with dread. He feels this profound homesickness, this malady du pays, but home is also where the source of his terror is. There's no comfort anywhere.
And his father, seeing his son in this state, comes up with a plan. A tragically misguided one.
Completely. He thinks the cure for this deep, mysterious sorrow is marriage.
Right. He proposes the immediate solemnization of the marriage to Elizabeth.
It's like prescribing a family dinner for a mortal wound. He has no idea of the scale of Victor's trauma. He thinks it's just melancholy that a stable home life can fix.
And then in Paris, the letter from Elizabeth arrives. And it's just heartbreaking.
It is. It's so beautiful and so sad. She's worried about him, about his flying to solitude.
She even offers him an out. She says if he feels bound in honor to marry her, but his heart is elsewhere, she'll release him. Her happiness depends on his.
Such a selfless, loving act.
And ironically, it's the thing that seals her fate, because it forces Victor to confront the creature's threat.
The vow. I will be with you on your wedding night.
This is the moment. The great fatal miscalculation.
It is, because Victor's isolation and, frankly, his ego, they combine, and he reads that threat in the most self-centered way possible.
He thinks the creature is coming for him.
Of course. He broke his promise to make a mate, so naturally the monster wants revenge on him. He's preparing for his own death.
He completely misses the creature's real intention, which is so much crueler.
Infinitely crueler. The creature doesn't want to kill Victor. Not yet. He wants Victor to suffer exactly as he has. To be utterly alone, and the way to do that
Is to take away the person Victor loves most. To take Elizabeth.
And Victor just cannot see it. He's so wrapped up in his own story, his own martyrdom, that he's blind to the real danger.
He genuinely believes he's being heroic. That by marrying Elizabeth, he's luring the monster into a final confrontation where he, Victor, will die and save everyone else.
He even reflects on it later. He says, I thought that I prepared only my own death. I hastened that of a far dearer victim. That line is just crushing.
So he agrees. He tells his father, yes, he loves Elizabeth, and he sets the wedding date for just 10 days away. He thinks he is establishing a seal to my fate.
He's walking willingly into what he thinks is his own execution, believing it's a noble sacrifice. And he tries to pretend to be happy for Elizabeth's sake.
But she sees right through it.
Instantly. The text says her ever-watchful and nicer eye is not deceived for a moment. She's afraid their happiness will soon dissipate into an airy dream.
She has the intuition, the emotional intelligence that he completely lacks. Her gut is telling her something is terribly wrong.
But she can't act on it because she doesn't know what it is. And that's all on Victor. His secrecy is the real poison here.
Absolutely. If he had just told someone, his father, Clerval, Elizabeth, anyone.
They could have prepared, they could have fled, but because he keeps it all locked inside, he has to face this threat alone, and he fails. Completely.
So these two chapters take us from Victor, the accused murderer, to Victor, the self-appointed sacrifice for his bride, walking blindly into the creature's real trap.
It's a masterclass in dramatic irony. We, the readers, can see the train coming, but Victor is convinced he's standing on a different track altogether. His belief in his own destiny is the very thing that ensures the tragedy happens.
It just shows how a total failure of communication can be the most destructive force of all.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to think about. Victor believes his love for his family means he has to face this alone, to sacrifice himself. But what if the only real act of love, the one thing that could have saved them, was to break that silence? Was his final, unforgivable act of selfishness not creating the monster, but refusing to ever speak its name?
That concludes chapters 21 and 22 in the 1818 and 1831 texts of Frankenstein. At this point, both versions present Victor as a man worn down by grief, guilt, and fear of the creature's promise to be with him on his wedding night. The differences between editions here are mostly a matter of emphasis, not event. Next time, we'll move into chapters 23 and 24, where the wedding, the final tragedy, and the pursuit into the Arctic bring Victor's part of the story to an end. Thanks for listening to Chapter by Chapter Classics. If this episode helped you follow the story, follow the show in your podcast app so you don't miss the next chapter. And if you're enjoying this series, please take a moment to rate the podcast or leave a short review. It really helps other readers and students find the show.